All right, everybody, welcome in to the channel. Black and Gold Breakdown, talking all things Steelers, gearing up for the NFL draft, which God help us is still 3 weeks away. So I'm so over it. I'm so ready for it to be done. I've written it multiple times. I think I've probably said it on multiple shows at this point too. Move the draft to the first weekend of the month. There's no reason for us to have to wait up until the end of April, like 2 months almost after the combine's done. Like, there's no reason for us to wait this long. Pro days are all done. Let's do this the first weekend in April, or even if you want to say the second weekend, because I know that March Madness games are still going on. Or no, that March Madness is done now because Florida just won, right? So let's move it up. No reason for us to wait till the end of April and have the same things talked about forever. It's annoying. But appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you're tuning in, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please be sure to do that. Do all that YouTube stuff. Subscribe, like the video, turn on notifications so you know when we go live for shows like this. Not only for the Black and Gold Breakdown, but for my national pod, The Pump Fake, which you can also get wherever you get your podcast. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Yeah, the big news of the day, the Pittsburgh Steelers set to host Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders on a visit. So that was kind of unexpected to me. I don't know if Shedeur's going to be there when they're picking at 21. If he is, I'd be totally cool if he's the pick. I think that him and Cam Ward are the two quarterbacks in this class that are the best quarterbacks and have the best chance at succeeding at the next level. And if he somehow gets to 21, then I'm totally okay with him being the pick. I know that, he comes with the built-in quote unquote baggage of Deion Sanders and whatnot. But I don't know. I think a lot of that is more than likely overplayed, where like similar, and I made this comparison before, but like similar to like LeVar Ball with LaMelo and Lonzo. Like, yeah, like it's a lot of sound bites, but all in all, like it didn't end up being anything crazy. So I don't think that that's something that I'm necessarily worried about. And if he's available and if he somehow falls to number 21, or even if there's a situation where if they can move up, let's say he gets to, 18, 19, and you're the Steelers and you want to take him, but you're worried that another team will move up, then yeah, go ahead and take him. Trade up a couple spots, give up, whether it be, a pick in this year's draft. I know they don't have a second right now because of the DK trade, but if there's a way that you can move up and you feel like you want him that bad, then yeah, go ahead and do it. It does change the trajectory of next year, obviously, though, right? Because if they do take Shedeur in the first round, then all but guarantees they're not going to take a quarterback next year. And so this is going to be the guy that you hope is the future of your franchise. And if that's the case, then those are where that is the basket that all of your eggs are going in, which again, I'm cool with, but it does change things a little bit. It doesn't necessarily change things about the Aaron Rodgers stuff. Like, I still fully expect him to be the Steelers starting quarterback this season. It takes a little bit of pressure off the Steelers too. They don't got to rush into starting Shedeur. He can sit behind Aaron Rodgers for a year, and then when the time comes next year, become the starter. And if anything, that's probably the better route for Pittsburgh rather than drafting a guy next year, which I still think they're going to. I don't think Shedeur is going to be the guy, like, full disclosure. But there is a world where he is. And I think that if you can get a guy like that this year and have him sit behind Aaron Rodgers, it's certainly a little bit more beneficial than taking a guy next year and probably starting him right away, unless you start Mason in 2026, so you don't feel like you have to rush the rookie, which they could do. I mean, they did it with Mitch when they drafted Pickett, but ended up putting in Pickett pretty soon after because Mitch wasn't playing well. So I think that there's certainly a possibility where that does happen. And if that is the case, then that's fine. I think that's my big takeaway is that it's fine. A few people in the comments, Shady chiming in. Been a minute, but I used to be named Worthy. Oh, what's up, Worthy? Appreciate you for tuning back in and being part of the conversation. Django says Rodgers isn't even 1/4 of the player he was in Green Bay, and even back then he choked miserably. I mean, he's a 4-time MVP and like 3 of the top 5 touchdown interception ratio seasons of all time are Aaron Rodgers. You can say a lot of things about Aaron Rodgers. A lot of those playoff losses certainly weren't on him. The loss to Seattle in the NFC Championship game, not his fault that his defense can't get a stop late, can't recover an onside kick. That's not on him. Plenty of losses in there as well where the defense just gave up a ton of points. So, not to say that Aaron Rodgers is perfect by any means, but I think that if you can get Aaron, which they're going to do, I'm cool with it. But I'm also cool with the idea of getting Shedeur Sanders. If there is a route that they do that without having to give up a ton, then yeah, absolutely do it. And like I said, it does change things next year where, all right, it's clearly not going to be a quarterback that they take if they draft Shedeur Sanders this year. And especially if Aaron Rodgers is still the guy, which again, he's going to be. Which, by the way, Pat McAfee's live show tomorrow is in Pittsburgh. I think that tomorrow we're finally going to, once and for all, find out, okay, Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Steeler. I would bet money he's going to announce it at that show. So I don't know. I think that when it comes to Shedeur, he's not getting out of the top 10, if I had to guess. I see a lot of these, and again, this is another reason why I'm ready for the draft to be moved up, or at least it should be. We see so many mock drafts and stuff like that between the end of the season, really at the beginning of the season. There's going to be people who the night or the hour after round 1 is done who are doing their way too early 2026 mock drafts. And if you're one of those people, don't do it. Okay, there's no need for that. So there are, we just need to move it up. But there are plenty of mock drafts that I've seen that have Shedeur falling to 21. There was a recent one that I saw that has him falling to 33 with the Browns taking Travis Hunter in the first round and then kicking off night 2 by taking Shedeur. I don't think he's falling out of the first. I would be completely shocked if he fell out of the first round. I think he's going to go top 10, at the latest top 15. And if you get to that 11-12 territory, then you're going to have teams like Pittsburgh who need a long-term quarterback that are going to call and try to trade up and get him. But like if you're a team like New Orleans, you're sitting there at 9 and Shedeur gets you. You're not going to take him. Like I don't think that he would get past New Orleans. What other teams are drafting in the top 10 that could use one? The Giants could certainly take him still. The Raiders could certainly take him. A little bit less likely the Raiders take him now that they just extended Geno Smith. But it's still a move that they can make. The Packers drafted Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers was the starter for the next 2 years. So, it's certainly not out of the realm of possibilities. But if you're a team who needs a quarterback, especially the top 10 teams and Shedeur falls to you, like New Orleans especially, like you're not going to take him? I just don't see a world where he gets that far down. And again, I could certainly be wrong. I'm by no means a draft expert. But I'd like to consider myself a pretty good analyst when it comes to, hey, if your team needs a quarterback, they're going to get a quarterback. We've seen plenty of teams over the years trade up, and a lot of times it's paid off. The Chiefs traded up for Mahomes. The Bills traded up for Josh Allen. So, a lot of these guys, a lot of the big name guys right now were acquired by trading up. The Ravens traded up for Lamar. So, some of the biggest, arguably the 4 best quarterbacks in football, 3 of the 4 best quarterbacks in football were acquired by their team trading up to get them. So if you're the Steelers, let's say that Shedeur gets to like 13, 14, you're thinking about it, I would assume. You're certainly having that conversation internally, like, okay, do we trade up to make sure that we get him and make sure that nobody behind us jumps up to get him? I do wonder. I don't think it would happen because, like, again, anybody who talks about the Cowboys like moving off Dak, like, they're not going to do that. And they just traded for Joe Milton, so like much less likely now. But at a time, I wondered if he would go, if Shedeur would go to Dallas. Far less likely now, because again, Dak is the highest paid quarterback per year, and they just traded for Joe Milton to be the backup. So I don't foresee that happening. But if Shedeur's a guy in Pittsburgh, yeah, I can get behind that. I've talked on here before previously about like wanting it to be Drew Aller next year selfishly just because I'm a Penn State guy. But if it's Shedeur this year, then I'll be on board with that. You can certainly talk me into that. Good college quarterback. Yeah, I can get down with that. So I'm not going to hold my breath on it because I don't think he's going to get out of the top 10, top 15 at the latest. But there is a world where it does happen. We've seen plenty of guys fall. Aaron Rodgers fell. A lot of people thought Aaron Rodgers would be the number one pick back in 2005, and he slid all the way to 22, 23, where the Packers took him. So there's certainly a world where he does fall. And if he does fall to 21, then yeah, if you're the Steelers, of course you take him. It makes sense to take him. You don't have a long-term quarterback. One just fell in your lap potentially to be a franchise quarterback. You can have him sit for a year behind Aaron. And then come 2026, he's your guy. And then you roll forward hoping that Shedeur Sanders can be your franchise quarterback. Can't be any worse than the last one that they took. I'll always find a way to get a shot in on the Steelers for taking Kenny Pickett. Don't worry. But I'm totally on board if they do find a way to get Sanders, whether that be moving up a few spots if he does start to slide, or just waiting it out and getting lucky and he just falls to him. But if there's a world where they can do it, then yeah, absolutely, sign me up. I think it would be, that's a good move that you can make as a franchise to bring in Shedeur. And again, if you want to be part of the conversation, leave a comment. We'll get you in here. Rodgers used to have the most toughest passes to ever intercept. Yeah, I mean, he rarely, in his heyday, he's having 48 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Was it 47-4, 26-2? Like, he, at the peak of his powers, one of the 5 best quarterbacks ever. Let down a lot by defenses in the playoffs. Again, not saying that, he's completely a perfect quarterback, but when he was peak Aaron Rodgers, he was damn close to it. But yeah, there's certainly a conversation to be had about like the all-time conversation where Aaron falls. Without a doubt, top 10, arguably top 5. I probably have him between 5 and 10. Matter of fact, you'll be able to read where I have him in the next month or so, whenever the top 30 quarterbacks of the Super Bowl era article comes out, a panel that I put together of a lot of different writers, podcasters, and everything. So who's on the panel? I can start talking about that. On the panel, the Heed the Call boys. So Dan Hanzus and Mark Sessler are both on it. Greg Rosenthal of NFL Daily over at NFL Media. Mike Tanier, Aaron Schatz, Doug Farrar, Tyler Dunn, Matt Verderam. Just several of the best writers and Voices in NFL Media Today part of it. So you'll be able to find out where these guys ranked Aaron Rodgers. So be sure to read that next month when it comes out. And I'm going to continue to plug it once it is out because people should read it. I'm working very hard on it. So yeah, read that when it comes out. But yeah, there's certainly a conversation to be had where he'll go down in history. He's got one Super Bowl, which will cement him forever. But I think that there was certainly ones that were left on the table potentially due to some poor performances by the defense. Remember, the year that Russell Wilson threw the interception to Malcolm Butler, that was the year where the Packers were winning 19-7 with like 5.5 minutes left. And then the defense just fell apart and the Seahawks won. Could have had a Brady Rodgers Super Bowl. And if we did, I think the Packers win. So, but yeah. Shedeur Sanders. How about it? And by the way, if you're not already subscribed, we're going to be doing live reactions after night 1, night 2, and then after the draft as a whole is over, following day 3. So be sure to tune in and subscribe. I think we're getting close to 2,000, by the way, which is pretty cool in just over a year to hit a number like that. Pretty proud of it. Want it to get bigger though, so be sure to subscribe to the channel. Just checking Twitter right now to see if anything breaking has happened. I don't think that's happened. The closest that we ever had to that happening was doing the Sam Darnold to Pittsburgh potentially show, and then 2 minutes after I finished it, the DK trade happened. So, but yeah, let me know what you guys think about the potential of Shedeur Sanders coming to Pittsburgh. He's coming here for a visit, and if there is a chance that they could get him at 21, then great. It's something that I would personally be okay with and would be excited to see what he could bring. But if it's not a guy in the first round this year, it'll certainly be one in the first round next year. They're certainly gearing up for that with all the comp picks that they have in place. So if it's not going to be Shedeur Sanders, which again, I don't expect it to be, I'd be totally fine if it is, and I end up getting proven wrong a little bit there. But if it's not, I also won't be, up in arms about it. I have Jackson Dart higher than Shedeur Sanders. I'm certainly not on the Jackson Dart train. I just don't see a lot there personally. I think Shedeur is better than Jackson Dart. And like I said, I think that Shedeur and Cam Ward are the two best quarterbacks in this class. It's not a very great quarterback class. A lot of guys, we see this every year, by the way, where, Jackson Dart came into this process. Okay, he could be, a third round pick at the highest. He'll probably go day 3 to all of a sudden now people are talking about him going in the first round. Happens every year with at least one guy. And it just has to be Jackson Dart this year. Big arm, that's good, but got to be able to do all the other stuff. Darius Slay is no different than Patrick Peterson. Strongly disagree with that. Darius Slay played a lot of good ball last year. And I think having him age gracefully into a CB2 like he did last year with the Eagles, he'll be good to have in this spot. I fully expect him to play solid ball as the second corner opposite of Joey Porter. I do have a bit of an issue with them constantly doing a move like that, though. I think Slay is a good signing, but this is just another veteran guy that they bring in rather than filling in that hole long term. The last time they brought in a guy to be the long term, like number 2, was when they signed Steven Nelson. And they had Steven Nelson and Joe Hayden, and that was a really good cornerback tandem that they had for a few years. And then they let go of Steven Nelson, who then went to Philadelphia and then went to Houston. But that was the last time they really had a really good number 2. Ever since then, it's been a lot of, Akello Weatherspoon, Peterson, Levi Wallace, Dante Jackson. And it just they haven't had a long-term answer. They've had a different guy in that spot, almost like a rotating door every year. So I agree in the sense that I want them to find a long-term number 2. And maybe they'll find that in Brandon Echols, but I think he's going to be the nickel guy. But I agree that they need to find a long-term number 2. Maybe they draft a guy this year and see if he can end up being that. But I would have liked to see them go out and get a guy like DJ Reed, who went to Detroit, Carlton Davis, who went to New England. Those would have been my preferred signings. Where did Charvarius Ward go? I actually don't remember where he went. Oh, goodness gracious. Where did Charvarius Ward go? The Colts. Sure. Why not? Good for you, Charvarius Ward. Get your money. Remember when Kirk Herbstreit destroyed the Steelers' effort in the wild card game? Yeah, and rightfully so. I was happy when he called it out because it was pretty evident. Like, it was that game. I was so convinced that they were going to win. I don't know why. I think it's just because the game against Baltimore, the first game in Baltimore, 2 massive mistakes by Russell Wilson decided that game. And I just assumed, all right, if they cut down on mistakes, play the way they did last game, they'll win. Zay Flowers didn't play in that game either, by the way. So I went on TV. I went on every, podcast spot I did that week. And I was like, yeah, I think they're going to win. I was wrong. So I was very wrong about that. And look, I appreciate an announcer who's not afraid to just say, yeah, they have absolutely no heart right now. Just absolutely none. And it doesn't look like they care. And Herbstreit certainly wasn't afraid to do it. We've seen a lot of announcers do that recently, where not necessarily only calling out, effort and whatnot, but like Aikman went in on the officials during the divisional game between the Texans and the Chiefs because the officiating was so bad. So I think that we're seeing more and more commentators get comfortable just calling out BS, whether it be effort, whether it be officiating, which is good. We need more of that. What about Evan Stewart? I like him so much. No one else does. I don't even know who that is. I still don't know who Evan Stewart is. If that's like a next year thing, that is way too far in advance for me. I'm a very casual college fan. I watch Penn State, whatever game's on at night. Aside from that, man, I'll keep up with like the big name guys just to at least, see what they do. But I don't really start keeping up with these guys until I go to the Senior Bowl. And we're like, all right, let's see, who's good here, and then start following up on that. Like, that's kind of when my draft stuff begins. And even then, I'm not going to pretend I go deep into the draft process. I'm not a big draft guy. I know enough about, the top, 50 that Daniel Jeremiah likes. Keep tabs on them. I've got a lot of friends who are very good at it. JP Acosta, very good at it. You guys see on the pump fake on this channel a lot. I got plenty of people that I'm friends with who enjoy the draft process and love it. Derek Bell, for Steelers fans, know how great that he is and how much he loves the draft process. It's just not my thing. Not my thing. I care about the games that take place on Sunday and the guys that are in the league. I'm not gonna pretend to be a draft nut because I'm not. I spent the first 5 minutes of the show saying that the draft just needs to get here and get done with because I'm tired of talking about it, which I am. I'm very tired of talking about it. But again, if you're watching this on YouTube and you're not already subscribed to the channel, go live like this a lot to talk about the Steelers Black and Gold Breakdown, as well as my national pod, The Pump Fake, which you can get on this channel, as well as anywhere you get your podcast. So be sure to subscribe, especially for the weekend of the draft, where we'll go live right after night one to talk about it. Instant reaction, things of that nature. And that'll be a lot of fun. Aaron Rodgers won't win us a Super Bowl. I don't disagree. No, I don't expect them to win a Super Bowl, regardless of who the quarterback is. Unless they somehow magically get Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, I don't expect them to be a Super Bowl caliber team. Their eyes are on the future. They are fully planning on getting a quarterback. If they don't get Shedeur Sanders this year, which, obviously they're having him in for a visit, and if they can get Shedeur Sanders, awesome. If they don't, which I don't think they will, it'll be next year where they trade up and draft who they hope to be the future of their franchise in Pittsburgh. What a story. That is what they are gearing up to do. Which, again, I'm totally cool with. In terms of Rodgers, I'm fine with them. I like Aaron, which apparently is like incredibly taboo to say. I like Aaron. Is he a little bit of an egomaniac? Yeah. Does he say some stuff sometimes? I'm just like, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah, of course. I don't know the man, though, and I don't have a problem with him personally. I don't mind him. Damn good quarterback. One of the best of all time. Isn't a top 5 quarterback anymore, but still, I would say a top 12 quarterback. He's better than anything they had last year. Better than Russ, better than Fields. I would have preferred them to keep Fields just to see if he could be the guy long term, but no, I'm fine with Aaron. They'll go 10-7 or 11-6 with Aaron. They'll get into the playoffs. It just comes down to, can you win a playoff game? They won't ever say this, but that's what they're playing for this year. They're playing just to end the drought. And if you're bringing a guy like Aaron Rodgers, does it give you a better shot at winning a Super Bowl than if you would have kept Justin Fields? Yes, of course. And I think the big thing with it is they got a veteran roster, especially on defense, where, if you were to trot out Mason Rudolph this year, those guys know that you can't win a Super Bowl with Mason, respectfully speaking to Mason. So I think at least going with the possibility of being surprised, and I've talked about that a lot this offseason, the possibility of being surprised. Because not to, make all the comparisons to Favre, but when Brett Favre spent a year with the Jets, it didn't go great, ended badly. And everybody was like, all right, dude, you're done. He threw, I think, 22 interceptions that year. It wasn't great. And he goes to the Titans the next year and throws 33 touchdowns, 7 picks. They go to the NFC Championship game. And if not for Brett Favre making the most Brett Favre throw of all time, they probably win it. And then we could have had a Brett Favre, Peyton Manning Super Bowl, and that would have been cool. So, do I think they're going to be a Super Bowl team? No. But I'm going to allow myself to hope to be pleasantly surprised. So I think that, whenever you look at the situation, if it's a situation similar to Favre going to Minnesota, then that's probably the height, the absolute peak that you can reach if you're Rodgers right now. Do I think it's going to be that? Probably not. Like I said, I think what we'll get if Aaron Rodgers starts 17 games, if they can get 26 touchdown passes, 9 picks, between 3,700 and 4,000 yards, yeah, they'll be a playoff team. It just comes down to, can they win? And that comes down to who are they going to play? If they play an AFC South team, I like their odds a lot more, but that would probably mean getting the 4 or the 5 seed and playing the 4 seed. Are they going to be the top wild card team in the AFC? I don't know. Bengals are going to be in the fight. Baltimore is going to be in the fight. Whoever doesn't win the AFC North, there's going to be at least one other team in there. And then AFC East, I think it'll be the Bills, maybe New England. But I think New England's probably going to fight for the 7 seed more so than the 5 seed. Who in the West? Maybe the Raiders. Got a good defense. Geno, Pete Carroll coming in. They need to get, another receiver and a running back, but that's a team that can compete for a wild card spot. The Chargers were in there last year. They'll probably be at least in the fight again. So it's going to be a stacked field to fight against. And are they going to be able to be the top spot? I don't know. Because if they're not, then they're going to play one of the Chiefs, Bills, or probably Baltimore. But I love Burrow and Chase and Higgins. Who's playing defense for them? I think Cincinnati's going to be in the wild card hunt simply because those 3 guys are just that awesome. They won 9 games last year simply because their offense was so good, but they lost 4 or 5 games where they scored over 30. So, it's not going to be easy to get that top spot. There's going to be a lot of teams fighting for it. And I think that their best shot of ending this drought is by getting the number 5 spot in the top spot as the top wildcard team. It would be great if they would win the division, but I just don't think they're going to do that. They had a 2.5 game lead on the Ravens late in the year last year, and they completely blew that. I don't know when they're next going to host a playoff game. It doesn't feel like it's anytime soon. But I think the best route for them to end this playoff drought that they're currently in is by getting the number 5 seed and playing more than likely Houston. Maybe if Jacksonville gets back to what they were a couple years ago. They have the quarterback. It's just, all right, can they figure out this whole team building around him thing? Liam Cohen seems like a good hire. James Gladstone, who's a few years older than me, running the show at GM, which is kind of fun. So, we'll see. But again, if you're just tuning in, biggest news of this show that we're going over, the Steelers hosting Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders on a visit pre-draft, which is, again, kind of unexpected. I didn't think that they would host him, which to me tells me they think they have a chance at getting him. And if they love him, and if he starts to slide, let's say they get to, pick 14 and he's still on the board, who's on the board? I think it's Dallas on the board there at 14. Maybe Miami. You call Miami? Let me look at the draft order real quick. We'll start making some hypotheticals. But I want to say it's Dallas or Miami. I'm pretty sure I'm correct there. But if he's available, yeah, pick 14 is the Colts. My apologies. I wonder if the Colts would take him. That's a decent question to have. But let's say, he gets to 12. That's when Dallas is on the clock. They're not taking Shedeur. And if you're Pittsburgh and you love him, I mean, are you calling up and saying, hey, we want to get up to 12 so we can take him? It's a question. But if he gets past 9, which is New Orleans, I would be surprised. Because the Bears aren't going to take a quarterback. 49ers aren't going to take a quarterback, I don't think. Unless something crazy happens and they take Shedeur and then trade Brock Purdy somewhere. Dallas isn't taking a quarterback. Miami not taking a quarterback. I don't think Tua is the long-term answer, but they just paid him last offseason. If they were to take a quarterback, it'll be after 2025. Indianapolis is a maybe. I don't think Anthony Richardson's the long-term answer. Atlanta, not going to take a quarterback. Arizona, not going to take a quarterback. Cincinnati, certainly not. The Seahawks just gave Sam Darnold a 3-year deal. Tampa Bay, no. Denver, no. So again, if he gets past 9, there's one team in there that I think could take a quarterback, and that's Indy. And if they do, then I would assume they're going to try to trade Anthony Richardson. And then if that's the case, if you're Pittsburgh, you say, okay, we'll just trade, a day 3 pick for Anthony Richardson. Have him sit for a year behind Aaron Rodgers, and then next year we'll see, what we've got in him. I'd be cool with that too, by the way. Got to throw some darts. Now, in that case, they will still take a quarterback in the first round, go into camp that following year in 2026, and it would be the rookie and Anthony Richardson and Mason Rudolph. You could certainly do worse for a quarterback room. And hell, maybe Anthony Richardson looks really awesome in preseason, but you feel confident in the guy that you drafted, and then you can move Anthony Richardson yourselves. So there's a lot of things that can happen between now and draft day. I'm ready for it to be over. I'm sure a lot of people are ready for it to be over. But the fact that they're hosting Shedeur, that says they think that they can get him. And if they can, I'm cool with it. Especially because, like I pointed out, once you get past pick number 9 at New Orleans, Indy's the only team between number 10 and the Steelers pick that would take a quarterback. So it's possible. It's certainly possible. Take Milroe, have him sit, learn how to process from, I don't know what that last part says. I don't think you take Milroe round 1. I don't think, they invited him to the draft. The NFL did. So that tells me they think he could go round 1. I think the most likely outcome for Jalen Milroe is he's going to go with the first pick in the second round to Cleveland is my most likely outcome for him. That's just what I think will happen. But again, the fact that they are inviting him to the draft, they think he could go round 1. Now, Will Levis was invited to the draft. He didn't go round 1. But there's plenty of guys that are there and stick around for day 2 and still walk the stage. So, it's certainly a possibility. But I think that the most likely outcome for Milroe, he goes to kick off night 2, first pick of the second round to Cleveland after they take either Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. Apparently, every draft person, every insider is saying it looks more and more likely they're taking Hunter, which then I would assume Abdul Carter, probably the Patriots. I mean, maybe the Giants, but I mean, if you're the Giants, is an edge rusher going to be, your end all be all there? Is that really going to fix everything for you? I don't know. A lot of things that they got to fix too. Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston in the same quarterback room. Thank God I'm not a Giant fan. That would stink. Love your tattoos, by the way. Oh, appreciate it, man. Yeah. Michael Myers on this hand. Just a couple other ones. Got a rose and swords crossing on this one. Yeah, appreciate that. Tomlin keeps lowering the standard. I mean, that's not news. We've been known that. But yeah, we're going on 8 years now without a playoff win. It's not an easy thing to stomach. Last time they won one was the 2016 season. 7, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4. If they don't win one this year, I mean, you're going damn near a decade without a playoff win. What other coach survives that? If they don't win one this year, I mean, look, I said it after they lost this year that they should fire him. I said it after the Jacksonville years. You could probably defend moving on here. And a lot of people did. I'm not trying to, sound high and mighty here. A lot of people said that after the Jacksonville loss to Blake Bortles. Okay, move on. But he's going to be there at least through 27. That's when his contract extension was through. If I had to guess, if if they don't win a playoff game between now and then, they won't fire him. They just won't extend him again. They just won't renew his contract. To be like, oh, he became a free agent, similar to what happened with Mike McCarthy in Dallas, where they didn't fire him. They just didn't extend his contract. But they also didn't let the Bears talk to it. It was a weird thing. The Cowboys are stupid. But that's what happened with Mike McCarthy, who's now taking the year off. He'll be one of the more sought-after names after this coming season. But I think it'll be a situation similar to that. They just won't renew his contract. He'll become a quote-unquote free agent. He might even take a year off. He's not going to take the Vrabel route and go be a defensive assistant somewhere. He might just take a year off. Similar to what Peyton did. I mean, Peyton retired and took a couple years off, I think, right? Maybe it was just a 1 year. Regardless, I think that if they don't win a playoff game between now and then, that's probably what they'll do. They won't fire him. They'll just let his contract expire. But I think that's a good place to leave it. Again, the Steelers hosting Shedeur Sanders, which tells me, hey, they think that there's a chance that they get him. And if he gets past pick number 9, which is the New Orleans Saints, between pick number 10 and 21, where the Steelers are picking, there's really only one quarterback that you can make the case are going to take. I'm sorry, there's only one team that you can make the case are going to take a quarterback. So there's a good chance after that he could end up a Steeler, which I'm totally okay with. I don't think it's going to happen, but there's certainly a world where it could. And if it does, then Steelers find their potential future franchise quarterback in a somewhat unexpected manner, which would be pretty cool. Like I said, if you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, please be sure to do that. More videos and live streams like this. Coming this off season, top 10 lists as well. Watch the tape, which is something I did 2 years ago, and I got a lot of people watched it, so they seem to like it. First one for this year, it's going to be Josh Allen's best throws of 2024, which again is just the all 22 look at some of the best plays that some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL have made. And so that's what I'm going to be doing in that series. So be sure to subscribe for all of that. I appreciate everybody for watching and tuning in. Talk to you soon. Have a good night.